So I'm gonna be editing a sneak peek for a proposal. Just gonna be working for that. So then I have other stuff that I have in the to-do list. So I'll continue that. Today, Abuelita, aka Grandma, is here to help. So I'm going to be taking advantage of the time that I have to just do focus work. I'm gonna put my AirPods and just focus work. It's like super windy, but I had to close the windows because it's like a weird kind of wind is coming in. And I have to open the window and it's getting a little bit hot. So this proposal happened on a Sunday. I had a session in the morning and the session was after midday, which is unusual, but I ordinary work. And my hubby was driving me around that day. He always enjoys going to the shoots with me and driving everywhere all day. After that, we went to eat some shrimps in our shore, and then we went to the proposal area. I had kept this whole time in touch with the person proposing, and then he told me that his brother was going to help him out setting up a picnic area that he had envisioned for his proposal. It was all good, and then I talked to him right before I arrived. I talked to the brother, and I kept in touch via text message with the person proposing. I arrived to the beach, I see him, I see the setup, and I'm like, okay, perfect. I'm just gonna walk to the proposal area. I'm gonna say hi to the brother, and then I'm gonna go get some distance and sit near my family so that I can be like hiding kind of, so that when the person proposes, I'm not in their face taking the photos and she can genuinely be surprised. And as I'm walking up to him, I realize that he's heading to the ocean to wash a blanket. And I'm like, what happened? And he's moving stuff. And I'm like, what happened? I say hi to him and I'm like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And he's like, oh, I had already set it up, but the wave came up higher because I guess he had set it up like too close to the water, and it was like a high tide day and he didn't know. And the water saw everything, the bruises, the blanket. It broke some glasses, so as he's telling me that, I quickly realized that he's bleeding from his hand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're bleeding. Are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm okay. And I guess one of the bases fell, and I don't know how it happened, but he cut himself. And he was profusely bleeding and bleeding. So it looked like a crime scene. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I could clearly see that he was like pretty stressed because he was setting up for his brother's proposal, right? Which was going to happen like soon. The plan was that he would go pick them up at the nearby beach and bring them back. So I'm like, okay, let me help you. You want me to get rid of this blanket? What do you want me to do? And he's like, oh no, let's wash it and let's just put it even if they can't sit in it so that it looks nice. And I'm like, okay. And as I'm washing the blanket and I'm like squeezing the water out of it, I'm like, we might have a dry blanket that looks nice. So I'm like, hey, let me go ask my hubby if we have a blanket. We might have a blanket behind the chair that we brought. So I go back to my hubby and I'm like, hey, did we bring that blanket? He's like, oh no, we brought like the two different chairs that doesn't have a blanket. So I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. So as I'm walking back, I'm like, okay, no blanket. So we're just going to set up this wet one, the one that I had just washed the sand off in the ocean. I'm just going to set it up. And suddenly, as I said that, 7 seconds after that, this person appears from the background that I had seen that they were at the beach. It was a family with kids. And this lady's like, hey, do you need a blanket? And I'm like, yes, we do need a blanket. And she's like, oh, I have a blanket. Like, does it matter if it's flower pattern or something? No, it doesn't matter like anything at this point, even if it has like a baby shark in it. It's good. And she's like, oh yeah, no, I have a nice blanket. So, and I'm like, are you gonna lend it to us? Yeah, I'm gonna lend it to you. I want to help you out. So I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has never happened before. So she goes to the car and brings this really good quality blanket that the pattern looks amazing. It's like a protea flower, almost like greenery, beautiful. And not just that, but it's cushiony. It has foam inside. It's like a very nice blanket. And she just lends it to us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can I give you a hug? And I hug her. I'm like, thank you so much. I'll give it back after we finish. And I run back and I set up the blanket. And I tell the brother, don't touch it because you're bleeding. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? How was this supposed to be set up? He's like, okay, I need the flower petals like around the blanket, the candles, and the container holding the champagne bottles and the flower things. We set it up, and I'm like, okay, we're good. And I told him he still was kind of feeling stressed about it. And at some point, we also went back to his car, and I was like, do you have paper so that you can hold your bleeding finger? Then the bleeding eventually started stopping, but up until this point, he's bleeding and bleeding. And he clearly seemed stressed. So I was like, hey, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Everything's working out for us. The weather is perfect. We have time. So don't worry. We have enough time for a proposal. So you only have to go pick them up. Literally 4 minutes from here, and it's all gonna work out. It's gonna be amazing. We're already here. The setup is ready. So he's like, okay. And he goes to pick the couple up. At that point, I'm like, okay, I have like maybe 8 to 10 minutes until the couple comes back with the brother that was driving them. I run back to the lady that was still at the beach who landed us the blanket. In my head, quickly, I'm thinking, how can I ever thank this person? I didn't even ask her for a blanket. How did she know? This was godsend. This has never happened before. I never asked her if she had a blanket. I wasn't going to go around the beach asking people. I mean, it was almost like an empty beach, yeah? And I'm like, how can I do something back for them? Well, it's a family. I can take photos for them. Clearly not today because it's a sunset already session. And I need more time with light. So I'm okay. I'm going to offer them a free photo session for their family. Hopefully they live here or something and we can make that happen. So I go back to her and she's feeding her baby. And the husband's sitting next to her. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to thank you again. Thank you so much for helping me out. You were so nice. I can't even believe you lended your blanket. And she's like, oh, don't worry. Like, I'm so glad to help out and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I want to do something back for you guys for your kindness. I want to do something. Can I take photos of you on another day? Do you live here? And they're like, oh, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no, I want, please let me take photos of your family on another day. And then she's like, no, we're on vacation. I'm like, oh, no. But she's like, on vacation for 3 months in Hawaii. So I'm like, okay. Until when are you here? And they're like, oh, we're here until end of March. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So I'm like, my couple's going to be back in a couple of minutes. So let me get your number, your contact information so that we can quickly exchange messages right now to have each other's contact number. And I'm going to contact you tomorrow to set up a photo shoot date so that I can take photos of you and your beautiful family. She's like, oh, thank you so much. You're so nice. And yeah, she's feeding her baby, right? So I told the husband, hey, can I get your number? Because I don't want to interrupt the feeding of the baby. He's like, yeah. So we quickly exchange WhatsApp contact information and I text him. I'm like, okay, you have my contact. I have your contact. Okay. I'm going to go back to the proposal, but I'm going to contact you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, and then the couple arrived. Everything worked out well. The weather was perfect. The light was perfect. And the proposal happened. Photos happened, everything happened. Tears were shed from the person being proposed. She was happy about it. She was genuinely surprised, which was amazing. The brother was there. He was so happy. And then and at some point, the family just left. So they just trusted me with the blanket, I guess. And I was like, they're so nice. I would have stayed, I guess. But they had babies, right? So maybe that's why. It's like, this lady out of heaven helped us out, saved the day with the blanket. So yeah, but it just goes to show kindness. Oh my gosh, the word for the year will be kindness. I almost shed a little tear because I was so touched by her kindness. So I'm like, it goes to show that we need to really be kind. And then we exchanged messages yesterday. So then she started texting me back. And she was like, yeah, I saw the whole thing happen. I saw him set it up. And then I saw the wave washing it away. So I wanted to help. So I was like, oh, thank you so much. You're so nice. So the story from yesterday. And as I'm saying this, I'm not sure if this is not recording. Let me see. My voice doesn't seem to be showing up on the... Okay, now it's connected. Why is it not recording? Let's see. Okay, so this is connected. I'm so confused with this thing. I was thinking that I was recording the microphone the whole time. Hopefully the audio is good enough. Now it's connected. I was so into the story that I forgot to check because at the beginning it was working and then I pressed the recording button. I haven't used the mic in a while, and during our time in Europe, I couldn't figure out how to connect it. And I was, okay, it's broken. I'm always like having that tendency. I'm like, things are broken. So I'm gonna work now. And keep on editing. I got carried away with the storytelling. Sneak peek is ready. Yes. Just delivered this. And a couple messaged me that they're really happy with them. So yay. Yay. And I'm gonna continue working on what I have next in my to-do list, which is finishing out a site that I'm working on. So yeah, let's work.